Hello everyone and welcome to another video. The content of this video was sent to me by a viewer of this channel. It's a mixture of how she was taken in by a scammer initially and sent money, then realised what was happening, and then started collecting the excuses that future scam contacts had for trying to get her to send them money. It's also a demonstration that the more you engage with scammers, the more scammers will contact you. So if you're using your personal profiles, I strongly suggest that you just delete and block and don't engage. Before we start, I'll just tell you a little story about that. Denise has clearly got herself on a list of potential contacts for scammers, possibly because she's an older lady. In the 24 hours before I made this video, she's had about 50 requests for friends. Unsurprisingly, she's rejected almost all of them. So be careful about accepting friend requests and interacting with scammers if you're using your personal profile. If you decide you want to do that, set up another profile. I was going to say a fake one, but obviously I deny that I'm fake. But you know what I mean. My viewer started by saying, if you want, you can use everything I'm going to tell you so that everyone knows how these jerks work. She continued, in one of my comments on your videos, I told you that 3 years ago I got scammed for €350. He needed it because his son needed urgent treatment. The next day he told me that he couldn't reach the money, and his best friend told him that if you send money with PayPal, the amount cannot be lower than €1,000. And he wanted me to send €650, that's another €650, on top of the 350 that my viewer had already sent, so that the amount was 1,000. That, said my viewer, was the moment I realised that he was talking nonsense and that I was scammed. And that underlines something that I've said many times before. The more money you send a scammer, the more they'll ask for. Fortunately, this viewer realised in time, so all she lost was the €350. Older and wiser, she then started collecting the stories from other scammers who contacted her, trying to take money from her. It's quite possible that because she'd already sent money once, she'd found her way onto a list of potential victims. She continued, the next one I had was also an orthopaedic surgeon. He was working in Damascus. After a few weeks, I got messages from him telling me that he regularly collapsed and that he needed urgent blood. He sent me a photo of him. He was hospitalised and lay in a bed waiting for his treatment, and it would cost €5,000 for the blood and the days he had to stay in the hospital. But he also told me that the doctors didn't want to give him the blood. I first had to pay them. From the moment they had the money, they would start the treatment. I had to pay the €5,000 within 2 days because the doctor told him if he didn't get blood fast, he was going to die. So my viewer did a bit of research. On the site Quora, she said, I found out that men and women who work legit for the UN, that they and their family are insured for any medical treatment. When I told him this, immediately he had an excuse. It was because he was in a private hospital, and the UN doesn't pay for the bills who are from a private hospital. The name of the hospital was Savannah Specialist Hospital Limited. When I looked on the internet, this was what I found about the hospital. Savannah Specialist Hospital Limited was incorporated in Gombe, Nigeria. I apologise because I don't actually know how you pronounce the name of that place. It was registered on the 12th of December 2003 and its current status is unknown. Company's registered office address is Flat 5, Federal Low Cost Estate, Gombe. He is still waiting for his new blood, said my viewer. The next one is also an orthopaedic surgeon and also working in Damascus. One morning I got a message from him telling me that the terrorists were attacking his camp. He had to dive on the ground to avoid the bullets. His superior ordered him to go downtown to help the wounded. He sent me some more messages telling me that he was scared because the terrorists came closer to him and he lay on the ground so that they wouldn't see him. Then I didn't hear from him for almost 2 days. The next message I got from him was that he was shot in the leg and that he went to a hospital where they gave him a basic treatment and that all the hail was still in his leg. He also sent me a photo of him. His lower leg was in a cast and he was standing on 2 crutches. But the weird thing was, for someone who had to lay down on the ground, he was wearing a clean white Bermuda shorts. Didn't know that this was the outfit a doctor wear when he must help wounded people. A few days later, I got a message from him telling me that the terrorists had put the camp on fire and that he had lost everything. He needed $15,000 for his new documents so that he could go home. The next one, again a doctor. He told me that his daughter was at boarding school and that she had to stay in her room. She was not allowed to go to class because she had no money to buy her school books. And there was the money question again. Can you help my daughter? Give her €1,600 so that she can buy her school books. When I refused, I got a message from him telling me that I would not reach the end of the month if I didn't give his daughter money for her books, followed by a lot of skulls. A good reason, if ever there was one, for not interacting with these scammers using your real accounts. Some of them will quite happily threaten you. If you're using your real account, I'd imagine that could be quite scary. The next one was a captain. He needed an Amazon card of €350 so that he could keep talking to me and his son. I refused again, and that was the moment he took one of my photos from my Facebook and he wrote under my photo, "Remember, I know how you look." Another good reason not to do this scam baiting using your own account. What some of these scammers do, if you don't want to give what they ask for, is threaten that they will kill themselves. And this is me adding, and that, of course, is emotional blackmail. It's one of the most powerful pieces of emotional blackmail that anyone can use against you, threatening to kill themselves. People sometimes say, how can you be so stupid and fall in their trap? But the experienced scammers pick out the most vulnerable people, men and women who feel lonely after they lose their partner or who are divorced. On Instagram, I also have had so many requests asking me if they can follow me, and they're all fake, from so-called famous people. Only this week I had 5 different Keanu Reeves profiles. All I do is ask them the same 2 questions, and they are, do you have a dog? Where they all say yes. But when I ask what his or her name, each time I get a different dog name. Among those famous fake profiles, I also have had Fazza, the Prince of Dubai, Prince Henry, Cesar Millan, Jason Statham, 2 members of the band Il Divo. But the one who was the most ridiculous was Lionel Richie. At a certain moment, he told me that he had a splitting headache and he asked me to send money so he could buy pills for his headache. I also had a doctor, who told me that he had to go to the UK to clear out his pension. He was in Syria and he needed money to go to the UK. This is something I can't find if it's true, that an American doctor who works for the UN must go to the headquarters in London and Manchester City for his pension. Maybe you know if this is also fake, and if this is another way they use to get money from people. Yes, it's fake. Firstly, Manchester is called Manchester. Manchester City is a football team, and we all know how much people in Nigeria love their football. I've had scammers tell me they've been to the UK, and amongst the places they've listed as having been are Manchester United, which obviously is a football team, Derby County. There might well be a Derby County in the United States, I wouldn't know. But over here, the city is called Derby, and the county is called Derbyshire. Nobody refers to Derby County unless they're talking about a football team. A few days ago, one told me he'd been to Accrington Stanley, also a football team. And have you ever heard of anyone that has to travel halfway round the world to sign a form to claim their pension? I think the UN probably have a fairly sophisticated HR department. I'm sure they can handle pensions without people having to turn up in person to their offices. He told me that when he went to Manchester City, his colleague went before him, telling the people in Manchester that he was his lawyer, and that his client passed away in Damascus, and that he came to collect his client's pension. For most people, once you've passed away, your pension passes with you. No one else can come and collect it. I know it sounds very strange, continued my viewer. Sounding very strange doesn't seem to bother most scammers as far as I can tell. But now they need his DNA, his blood, urine and fingerprints. He needs a new UN ID card and he needs a lawyer. And he must go to court. He needs all this to prove that he's the person he says he is. It will cost €1,400 to get all of this. So I guess the moral of this story is that whoever you're talking to online, if they start asking you for money, no matter how plausible their story might seem to be, you're almost certainly talking to a scammer. If you've been the victim of a scammer and you'd like to tell your story as a warning to others, you're welcome to email help@keepsafeonthenet.co.uk. I'll leave the email in the comment box below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to do all the usual things. You know how it goes. Hit that like button, please. Share it with your friends. Subscribe to my channel. Comment down below. And I'll see you again in another video.